In a now deleted TikTok video, a man compared wearing face masks during the coronavirus pandemic, which of course helps stop the spread of the virus, to the muzzles that slaves were forced to wear back when slavery was totally fine here in the United States. Now, luckily, a TikToker by the name of Sunny Laluz responded to it, and she did it in a way that I think is absolutely perfect because it really points to the stupidity of the original statement by this man, but more importantly, helps inform people who might not know just how awful those muzzles were. Let's watch.
Did you know that in the 1800s, when slaves would misbehave, slave owners would put cloths over their face and made them go work in the hot fields until they passed out? So don't forget to put on your mask before you go to work like a good little slave of the government.
You mean the metal muzzle that they would use? You mean the ones that covered their entire face where they could barely talk, much less eat? They most certainly could not remove them. They were padlocked on. The muzzle, the metal muzzle, was used as a form of punishment. See, Black people would be starving so badly that they would eat dirt. So slave masters would put that on them as a form of punishment that they couldn't take off. And you have all of the PWC nerve and gall to compare that to a mask that you could remove during the middle of a damn pandemic. Leave Black people out of your narrative.
I especially love that last part, which of course had an expletive that we had to censor. But no, I just, it made me think about all the right wingers out there who are panicking about critical race theory, which isn't even being taught in grade schools, right? And so I think that the way curriculum exists already kind of like whitewashes the brutality of slavery, because you read about lynchings, you read about the brutality, but you don't really read the details. Like they kind of leave all of that stuff out and just kind of vaguely explain what happened. And you can't keep the truth away from people forever. So like that's why I love some of these TikTok, and not just TikTok, people who respond to the stupidity online with like historical facts, including like pointing out the stupidity of comparing these two things, the COVID masks to the slave muzzles. Like and it must be incredibly exhausting to be a Black woman, a Black person, and hear those comparisons and have to explain to people just how stupid those comparisons really are.
Yeah, a comparison that they chose to make, but were so fundamentally disinterested in that they decided not to actually learn anything. Yeah. To totally broad brush it. Oh God, I appreciated her use of the classic Mario Brothers theme song in the background.
I love that too. I don't know why she chose to do that, but
I think it's the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's a commentary on this being a game to him. Because so he decided to make it about slavery. You think he's like really aggrieved by America's legacy of slavery? Like it bothers him so much that we had slave. No, he doesn't give a damn about it. It's just a comparison.
No, he's aggrieved at the idea of having to follow through on something that not only keeps him safe, but keeps the general public safe, right? Like, understand that he considers that the equivalent of the barbarism and brutality that African Americans faced in this country during the slave era. Like, it blows my mind. That's how unbelievably entitled and sensitive these people are, which is why I could, by the way, understand why he took down that video after people responded the way that they should respond to that garbage.
Yeah, well, so you said he took down the video. Has he put up any sort of?
No, of course not.
Well, then that's
not that
why
I know of, to be fair. Not that I know.
And maybe he has. So I don't know. The only thing I maybe disagree with you on is that you can't keep the truth away from everyone forever. Is he ever gonna learn? I don't. This is a great opportunity. But did he see that? Has he internalized that? Will he learn? I don't know. I think that big portions of the United States population keep the truth fairly effectively away from them. And it's not just about access to the information. He could have figured out what slavery was all about and all that if he wanted to. It's the ability to self-select into circles of disinformation and ignorance that he's participating in. He wants to be a content creator for those circles. And also, you talked about ivermectin, and that sort of guy is why I have no interest in any of the, hey, it's got some legitimate medical use or whatever. That is so irrelevant. It is just like the barest cover to the grift. Like the people who are considering taking ivermectin are not people who are like, I want to be covered at all costs. I got the vaccine, I wear the mask, I socially distance. Should I also take ivermectin? No, they're not interested in any of that stuff. It's an aside. It's I'm gonna do this instead of it. It's the people who won't even wear masks. They're not interested in being a part of this.
The problem with the very people who spread the disinformation about ivermectin is that they themselves are vaccinated, and like I have no problem with the disinformation agents taking ivermectin themselves.
Yeah, Laura Ingraham isn't taking ivermectin,
exactly.
But she's vaccinated and she talks about it.
She's vaccinated and she's pushing for an unproven roundworm drug, right? A drug meant to treat roundworm and like parasites in livestock on people who trust her and shouldn't trust her. So like unsuspecting people who unfortunately believe her end up getting hurt while she's vaccinated. She's not taking ivermectin. She would never take ivermectin.
She's not going to the feed store.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like the people like that. I don't know that guy. I don't know anything about him. But I question whether he was necessarily fated to be against masks. He could very well be one of the millions of Americans that would have gone along with it if all of the people that they trusted in media and politics hadn't told them not to. And so they all want to pretend that they care about life, and so they look for some sort of get out of being serious free card. It was hydroxychloroquine last year, it's ivermectin now. It's a thing that you can say that you're interested in to pretend that you actually care about the pandemic when all of the things that are not purely hypothetical, they're not being studied in Europe for maybe it'll help a little bit in the last moments of your life thing. Like take the vaccine, that's what you should be focusing on. All the rest of this is a big waste of time.
Absolutely. I do want to read a comment from one of our members because I think it's an important one. The manager will be with you shortly, writes in and says, conservatives comparing masks and vaccines to slavery is an insult to actual slaves, both past and present. Slavery still exists in parts of the world. Absolutely right about that. We showed videos of a CNN report in Libya where they were doing a slave trade there. Being asked to wear a mask in public is no different from being asked to wear clothing. I would argue that wearing a mask in public is more important than wearing clothing in public because your nudity isn't going to lead to a contagious illness, right? Like
maybe vomiting. That's not contagious.
Maybe, but that's whatever. But you get what I'm saying. Like wearing a mask not only protects you, it protects other people. But it goes back to what I think is the core of the issue in America when it comes to any type of public health concern, right? Any type of contagious virus. You need collectivist action in order to combat it effectively. But for a very long time in this country, we've been taught, we've been conditioned to reject collectivist action, to think of collectivist action as something that's dangerous, nefarious, that we should celebrate our individualism, that individualism is freedom. But we should all be free from getting infected from an incredibly contagious virus. And the fact that people don't care about members of their communities, help, even members of their own families. They refuse to wear masks around their own family members. Like all of that, they refuse to get vaccinated even knowing that they're putting themselves and their family members at risk. All of that, it just really, for me, like hones in on our issues with collectivism and also our issues with like really caring for others and just seeing ourselves as the priority over everything else, including the communities we live in.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.